Hello, hello, everyone. How are you?
Well met. Hi.
Sorry,
Hi.
force of habit.
Um, okay. Just I had the idea for showcasing some of the tools that I use for writing. So I would I would just like to share that with people because I can't afford to buy a whole bunch of expensive things to do my writing with. So the very lovely the lady writes agreed to help me out with this. And Liz is being so awesome in hosting the channel here. I will try to get through this with as little pain as possible, I promise. Hi, I'm Sandra Fikes. Most of you probably know me as Fantasine, and I've been around for a while, so I'm not going to bore you too much with who I am. I'm currently in the process of editing my first novel, which I wrote with the awesome writing community here on Twitch. And otherwise, I'm not sure what to say on introducing myself. So I will pass it over to my co-host here and let her introduce herself.
Hello, all. My name is Katrina. I am the Lady Writes. I run a regular morning writing stream, Monday through Friday, and occasionally on Saturday. I am one of the planning committee for Writers CONduit, and excitedly, I was glad to be included in this panel because Fantasy is brilliant for bringing this together. And forgive me, Sandra, I apologize. Force of habit.
I answer to a lot of things.
But I am so grateful to have been included and to be able to participate and join this because I have been running my author career for the last 10 years, and a huge portion of it up until I say the last 2 years has been on free tools, and there are so many out there. And I'm excited to get to share some with you guys. Hello, Rome and Moon and Bitzer and Games. And
hi, everybody.
Everybody. Feels like
So
the whole community came to say hi.
Bitzers and Moon and Realm. Okay, well, I'm not sure what else to cover in the opening here, so how would you like to start us off with explaining something about a tool that everybody should know about? Libreoffice and OpenOffice, they're, from what I understand, kind of the same thing, but Libre is a little better because it actually can communicate with people that are using Microsoft Word, right?
Oh, they haven't, forgive me, I use LibreOffice. I've been using LibreOffice since its inception. And
Yeah,
you said you've been using OpenOffice, correct?
Yes. And it wasn't until you explained a little bit more about Libre to me that I realized that's what I need to talk to people with Word. So please take the floor.
Okay. So OpenOffice and LibreOffice were a project that originally started off together. And once OpenOffice was purchased, I want to say, okay, I would like to tell you who purchased it, but I think it was Oracle. Purchased it. There were a bunch of the original developers that didn't see the vision that Oracle saw for OpenOffice. And so they left and they started LibreOffice. And they started with the exact same open source code, and they created the exact same program. And then from there, they continue to grow and develop the program. I don't know how far they've come from differences, but I did know that OpenOffice was not able to communicate with Microsoft Word, which can be a huge thing for us as authors. I haven't run into that problem since following the LibreOffice offshoot. So what I'm actually hoping to show you guys is one of some very basic steps, and I will get this into a document available in the treasure trove in the morning. I would like to say I would have already had it done, but I've been a little busy today. What I'm going to show you is some quick tips for formatting your book and your story. because it can be done very quickly and very easily in LibreOffice or OpenOffice, really. But to then convert it into the other formats, obviously you're going to be able to save it as a .doc or docx. And you can do that with LibreOffice. So give me just a moment. Well, I'm going to pull up an example of one that I've already done, and then we're going to copy that into Notepad and strip it of all its formatting and put it into LibreOffice, and I'll show you how to do it. At least we're only going to go about halfway through the book, but it really doesn't take long to do the whole book. I just don't want to dominate the stream. We got more stuff to show you. So here's the fun part. I have
That is the thing about a lot of these. We can show you guys a little bit about them, but you're if you see something you're interested in, you're going to have to do some digging, and we're going to have a document for you to be able to find the information out. But we can only scratch the surface today.
And don't hesitate to jump in and try these out for yourself. Whatever we can show you. Oh, the really bright green button right in front of me that I just could not find. Leave it to me. Okay, so this is LibreOffice as it is today. I'm sure it looks, if you have OpenOffice, Sandra, please feel free to tell me how similar they look in their layout.
OpenOffice is more cluttered, I think.
Really?
But it is also extremely adaptable, so it could be my changes to it that have made it different.
In this case, I picked fonts that matched the cover. So this is where I just installed the fonts on the system so that I could get custom fonts. And then we created the licensing page. This for me is a template, and I actually have this template available through my Ko-fi for one of the resources. It's a table of contents, and this right here is a newsletter link. So for those who understand the marketing part of the newsletter, you want to make sure that's in there. Now, as you'll see, this one, apparently I grabbed the file with errors in it, and that the one we're going to make will not have these errors, but this would not be on the same page. And when you're trying to do that, it's just as simple as, insert page break. And it was right at the top. And you're all set there. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't use this formatting tool any longer. But that's because I went to a paid formatting tool, but you don't have to. You really don't have to. So we're going to open up a new document. I hit select all, copy, and real quick, I'm going to open up, it's a little off screen. I am going to open up Notepad to pull out all of the formatting. And that's just going to be a simple copy and paste in there, and then select all and do it again. And we're going to copy it into the new file. And please tell me if the new file is what's being seen, or if I need to reselect. I probably need to reselect it. Looking at that. Easy enough. Oh. Okay. So I pasted this in, and you can see it. This is no longer the same. There is stuff running up on each other. This is not something you would want to put out into the public. There's a few other things that I realized it should have stripped out and did not. And this is gonna end up being a problem. And when you insert your tabs like that, that did not work. The other one did it too. This is what happens when you're half asleep. I apologize for that. Okay, so they did not tab that. They spaced that, which means I don't get to do a find and replace all. That stinks. The reason why you don't tab this when you're formatting a book, especially this format, is because once you start using the top, the actual styles for your paragraph styles, which is going to be more secure when you're converting it into an EPUB, you will be messing with this stuff that that was left in, and I'm not entirely sure why it was left in, but this spacing that was left in there will play with the way the paragraph styles work. So you don't want any of that in there. We're going to go ahead and fix it for the first 2 chapters real quick. This way I can show you how to do the format itself without going too far into everything. And so this is where you don't want the inconsistencies. When you are finishing off your final chapters, you want them to look polished, and they can look polished through here as long as everything stays consistent. If you are dealing with a quick format, you don't want it consistent. What I usually suggest if you are writing in Libreoffice is to just write. Don't worry about formatting. Don't do your indents. All of that can be done in your interior design at the end. And like I said, we're just going to do the first 2. So we're going to go ahead and end that right there. And obviously, I'm probably not going to save this particular version since I do have a finished version. Okay, so we've got chapter headings to put in now, or chapter formatting to put in now. This was on my title page, if you remember correctly. Actually, all of this was on the title page. So we're just gonna insert a page break. And this is your title. And I had this, it was, you know what, it doesn't matter. I'm going to use 2 different ones because this is a demonstration more than anything. So bear with me. And then your subtitle, as you can see, this at 28 is not working in this font. So play with it. Make sure that this looks the way you want it to look. It should match your, it should match your cover. So if your cover is using a specific font, those are the fonts you want to use on the inside. We are going to modify this. I don't know how much of this that you're able to see, so please tell me if you can't. But what I did was I clicked down on the style. There was if you go or on the paragraph style all the way to the right, there is an option to edit the paragraph style. It's a little tiny triangle that comes down. And in this case, we're going to go into the spacing, and before the text, we're going to give it some space. This way, when we go back in, it goes a little bit off the top of the page. Oh, wait a minute, that's the indent. Forgive me. I did this off the wrong side. Those are supposed to be zeros. These are supposed to be. Okay. So now that we've got this is spacing it a little further down the page so things will look a little bit more even. Tiana LeBeau you want that to match a subtitle. So that's what you would pick. And as you can see on the heading, you don't want them that close. So again, we're going to go in and we're going to edit this style. And what we're going to do is actually put more space below the freshly brewed. So again, we're going to go with edit style. And you're not going to be using subtitles and headings too often in your book. Once you have gotten your your book formatted. Doing this will give you what you need for this page. You're not going to repeat having to edit your title throughout, because after this, the only other thing you're going to use is heading 1. And your table of contents is actually automatically generated. So we're going to pull this out. And I don't think we need that right now, but we are definitely going to be looking at your copyright page is going to be by itself. So again, we're just going to do very simply insert page break, all done. All of your chapter headings, and I don't know if I've emphasized this, but all of your chapter headings should be a heading 1. That is where it is going to be read as when it's formatted to an EPUB as this is a new chapter. That is the most succinct way of guaranteeing that it's read properly. And so we're going to do that on both chapter headings, just to do it very quickly. After that, we are going to be looking at, this is considered a default paragraph style. We are going to edit the text body, because this is where you're going to put your indents in. When you click the edited text body, you go to indents and spacing, and you go to first line indent. I like 25 usually. We're going to do 20 for our example, but 25 is usually what I prefer. And then as you see, once I did that, that first one is done. This should also be a text body. After that, it's just a matter of selecting the text. Worst case scenario, this is the slowest way you could possibly do it. There are faster ways that are currently escaping me, but this does work. You copy and paste, or copy and select, and then you select text body so that everything matches. And you do the same thing in chapter 2. Make sure that it is all the same type of text. And this makes sure, now, if you want to play with the fonts, again, you can drop down and do that. You can play the font sizes. Recommended is the 12-point font. Although on an e-reader, they're going to be able to adjust the size. And when you're in print, you want to keep in mind your audience. So if you are making a large print version of your book and you're doing the formatting for it in LibreOffice or OpenOffice or any other word processor, Microsoft too, you want to keep in mind that your larger prints are 16, 18, and 24 font. And it's up to you to determine how much larger you want, 24 being rarely used and 16 being rarely, or 14 being rarely used. Usually it's like 16 or 18 that people are picking for the larger fonts. You can set it up beforehand, but a lot of people don't know how to do that. So if you do, go ahead and do this, but this is the way I learned when I first started, was to do it after I gotten it done. The hardest part was keeping the indents in mind for me. So yes, you can absolutely set it up beforehand, and that's literally just setting up your fonts, just like we just did here. In that case, you're probably not going to get your title page quite right because it's got to match your cover. But you can do the rest of this. And if you noticed, I did not do any of this in the text body. And the reason for that is because this is not parts that your reader, it's for your readers, but it's not reading consumed for your story. This is informational, and so it's something that you're going to share, that they will need to know if they need to ever consider sharing your stuff in a public manner. Otherwise, they don't need this. So it's kind of a way of differentiating the two. Now, we're going to put in a table of contents. So we need a new page break. Insert table of contents. I do not leave the protected against manual changes on. That's just me. I do prefer mine in 2 columns, so we make sure we're selecting 2 columns. I do choose a background because I have learned that picking a background color gives you less of the background grayness that you saw in that version earlier. Obviously, this is just chapter 1 and chapter 2 that was picked up because automatically it shows you, or it picks up the headings. So if you go all the way through your document and everything is a heading 1, it will automatically pick that up.
That makes sense.
And it's so much easier than, like, I used to have to hand code my table of contents. I don't even want to teach somebody that now, because boy, was that tedious. But it's very simple. It's very straightforward. I only did the 2 chapters. But once you've done that, it's just a matter of always save a copy, always save a copy, always save a copy, always save a copy. And then you export it as, in my case, I have EPUB already set. So I can just hit export as an EPUB and it will export the file that I need after this. Now, if you have your cover already made, you can insert your cover before your title page. Again, you're going to do insert page break and then put your cover on the top as an image. If you cannot export it to an EPUB, you can export it as usually almost anything else if you need to. That can be read by the different programs, or you can hit save and save it, or save as a Word document so that it can be read by Word.
Yeah, I know one of the things that drew me to OpenOffice had been that I can save it as a PDF file that I can then load onto my Kindle.
Absolutely. Outrageous Olive, yes. You just make it a heading 1, even if, yeah. Let's say we want to make this that is not heading 1. So we can go back while I'm doing it, because the inconsistency will drive my brain nuts. Sorry. Some things just scream at me. This is where there's a way to automatically update it, and guys, I humbly apologize. I'm doing this on not enough brain power.
Yeah, I'm keeping you up rather late here.
I am so happy to be here. Like, genuinely,
Um,
I am happy to be here. Please don't think I'm not. And
yeah,
I just know that I am failing our community and being able to show you guys everything as well as I could.
oh, you're doing awesome. Is there like a refresh?
There is a refresh at the moment. I do not remember where it is, but as you can see, by changing, by adding the words, so when you do chapter 1 as a named title, just like this, it'll go chapter 1 if you have a name. If it's just the title, if it's just the name and not the number, that's fine too. It'll say, instead it will just say Matthew, page 4, Marcia, page 6, Paul's journey, page 12, you know, that kind of whatever it is. I hope that answers your question. As long as it's a heading 1, it will be recognized as it goes in the table of contents. Is there any other questions that I can answer before I pop out, or any of the differences that you're seeing, Sandra, that you might want to highlight between OpenOffice?
Nothing that is really standing out to me. The only things that I had really noticed, oh, charts. When I looked into the differences last night, it said that Libre also allows you to include charts.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have more information on that for you guys too, in the document thing. But yeah, it looks like they do exactly the same thing. They act pretty much the same, but Libre does allow you to include the charts there and lets you actually save into the Microsoft formats, which OpenOffice, to my knowledge, does not allow you to do. It will open them, but it doesn't let you save into them. At least not the last time I used it.
With the charts, it does have its own area to work with. So when you're working with the chart, the information will be up above it, just like any other toolbar, but it's not in the main toolbars usually, unless you set it up to be in the main toolbar, which you can do, and I'm not very good at doing all that fancy stuff. I became very functional with my LibreOffice. And really, I was functional with OpenOffice too when I had OpenOffice. So we're gonna...
It looks awesome, and thank you so much for showing us a bit about how it works and everything.
My pleasure. I am happy to do so. I'm happy to be able to. And if we have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I'm gonna go ahead and stop the screen share here. And like I said, I'm definitely not saving this one. But okay, let me get you the link for Libreoffice so we can at least leave it in this chat for now. And I know it'll be in the documents, and go to the treasure trove too, because you'll get lots of other stuff besides.
Yeah, and I'm still working on updating the document that goes with this stream to actually explain, you know, this right now it has links in it. It doesn't actually have what the links are taking you to. But hopefully by Monday afternoon, Monday evening, I'll have it all updated to tell people exactly what they're looking at. And let's see, I guess I will jump into a screen share here. And we find
this one's one of my favorites, guys. This is something I recently learned about before I found another tool that I now pay for. But the options that are available with this, I wish I had it available to be so much sooner.
Am I sharing the right screen? Did I actually share the screen?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Scribus is an open desktop publishing program, and I have pulled up here showing their screen that shows, you know, the types of newsletters that are possible with this program. Magazines, brochures for how to put together your stuff. And somewhere here, there is a, see, now I'm totally lost. Where's the screen share thing? I wanted to change that.
Up at the top.
Up at the top. Oh, wait, I think now I broke everything. All right. New share over here. You and you get over here. I am sorry. All right, share this one instead. Now if I can figure out where everybody went. This is the sample that I put together for sharing with y'all today, the Work and Lurk newsletter. This came off of Pixabay, the background image here. And I just threw together, you can do your letter from the editor thing here with your index. You can actually use page bleed to do full background things on if you want to have a full magazine spread in it. Get talking about the live streams and in the news. Do my little Life in Alaska closing editorial thing and wild rose tea and stuff like that, how to make wild rose things. And then at the end, you can do like an advertising section and move around things for wherever you want it to show up at. So you can have a full, anything you can find in a magazine you can make with this program, and it is free. And then if I click the little eye down here, then it will show me this is where the bleed through, the blue outline shows me where the edge of the page is. So I come down here, this is the printable range of the page where I've got all the text. And the page bleed is the rest of the image outside the blue. And you can make it however many pages you want. See if this will show up on that thing. It doesn't look like it is, maybe. Oh, wait, yes, maybe. You can do a single page, double-sided, 3-fold, 4-fold, any amount of pages you want. I have made 100-page, just playing around with it, newsletter style, using Scribus here, and it's nice. I like it. And if you've ever considered making a newsletter for your stuff, I would strongly recommend looking into this, because I think
it was a magazine that I wanted to create that brought me to Scribus, and the learning curve for me. Now, let me qualify this so that everybody understands. At the time I came to Scribus, I literally started learning it, I want to say a month or two with any real earnest with a magazine thought process in mind, right before Atticus was released. Atticus is a program that is designed for authors by the same people who designed Publisher Rocket. And it's a paid program, though. It's $150. It's a lifetime payment. You're not, for every update and everything else that they do, they have integrated with Pro Writing Aid. They are meshed with BookBrush now, so you can insert customized images into your book. So there's a lot you can do with it. And I'm sure, as I'm saying that, you can see where it would distract me from something like Scribus. And I'm not going into half of it, but it does say, for me, I bought it because it saved me time. Mm-hmm. And when I set a goal of publishing 50 books this year, I needed a time saver.
Yeah,
but the magazine,
an evening's work for me to lay this out while I was watching a movie. So it's not too terrible.
I think it's beautiful. I think the layout is very clear. The cover is concise and exactly what you would need it to be. You don't have to wonder like where your lines are when you're publishing it.
Mhm.
I absolutely love this.
And I did take this and I test ran it, exporting it to a PDF file, and then used, what is the name of that thing? I think it is just send to Kindle. Yeah. I used send to Kindle to send a copy of it to my little Kindle thing here. And if your goal is just to make a newsletter to help spread the word about your story, to keep your viewers up to date, to have something to put on your Patreon page, yeah, I think for free it would fit
Oh,
the
yeah.
bill.
Oh, yeah. And for something as complex as creating your own magazine, this is a great place to start.
Mm-hmm.
So you've really got a lot of options with this program
I-
and so much promise.
I have actually sat in the middle of a living room before and printed out pages and collated them and stapled them together at the start of a magazine before. So yeah, this is a good place to start on a magazine.
Mhm. And a lot of authors have started, well, many authors have started doing their short stories in magazine format
Mhm.
because it's easy and straightforward. And when you have a program like Scribus, you can create a template like the way you want it and have the layout and just drop in the things that you need to drop in each time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And you can adjust the bleed range on this to fit whatever, if you want to go all the way out to the edge instead of their recommended bleed range, that is doable.
just got to make sure it's available through whatever printer you're using. Assuming you're sending it to a printer, not just doing an e-magazine.
Yeah. The other thing that I want to jump into before I think we're closing on our break. I didn't hit my start thing quickly enough, but I think we've only got like another 10 minutes before the first break, maybe. Let me show you guys some brainstorming now. Where did I keep losing this thing? Screen share, there it is. This is something that I found through 3D work. Move it over here. This is called Pure Ref. And Pure Ref allows you to go to some place like, oops, I do have okay, I have gone to Pixabay over here on the other screen, and I am just going to grab an image off of Pixabay. Let's grab this one and drop it over here. And let's try to grab ones that are generic enough that I'm pretty sure that they're not something that someone had put up there by mistake. But you can just take all of your images that you want to collect for anywhere on the internet. I have taken pictures straight off of Google and just pulled them over onto this thing and said, here, show me this. And it works beautifully. And you can tell it by right-clicking on it and go into the stuff. You can tell it to, mode, always on top or always on bottom. So it's always where you want it to be on your screen while you're working with it. And by tapping the N key, supposed to be tapping the N key. How did I do that? Oh, Control N, sorry. Control N, you can type in whatever thing you want to have showing up on it. Move your pictures around, resize them to the size that you need, and have it images arranged by the optimal image quality. Select the ones that you want and then do it. Optimal images. Arrange optimal, and it will organize them for you automatically. Now, for me, I'm going to leave this at small because this is something that I'm actually working with at the moment, but where's, first I have to find how to open it. Okay, load, recent, Queen of Fire. Don't save that board, don't worry about it. Okay. This is the working title, Queen of Fire. I took and I started grabbing images off the internet that caught my interest. And then I would add a note, and this entire top part up here is representation of mercenaries that I want to have in this story. And then I start out over here with a picture collection showing, okay, these are the queen and the two dudes that she ends up, or not the queen. At this point, she's a peasant. She's a peasant girl living with her family. And I have notes explaining, okay, this is the peasant girl, this is her family, these are the two guys that she ends up hanging out with through the course of the story. This is the gypsy woman that tells her this prophecy. And I just go completely through. And all I did was I went to a couple of different picture sites and I started dragging pictures just like I did a minute ago. And I just started throwing, oh, this looks interesting. This is cool. This caught my eye. And then I looked at it again and went, you know what? I could actually make a story out of that. Forget the 3D model I was going to build. And I just started moving it around and playing with it until it turned into a rough outline. This is like the roughest an outline can get, but I do have the whole everything here that I need to be able to come back in a couple of years and say, okay, I want to make the story of the Queen of Fire now. And it starts from when she's in her village to what happens to cause her to get the ability to mess with fire, all the way up to the ending, which if anybody's ever seen the movie Firestarter, yeah, the ending, the queen's got the firepower, she goes in, she takes on the people that ruined her life. And that's pure ref. It's, if you have any need to create any kind of storyboard or image reference, throw something together to inspire you to make the cover for your novel, that's completely free, and I strongly recommend pure ref. If I can find my thing here real quick, it is over there and easy to find, or easy to install rather. And it occurred to me that I had not shared this. Not all of these programs are easy to figure out where they're at. And for anybody that doesn't know where Pixabay is, if you've seen my streams, usually behind me, I have like this world with rotating with like lightning stuff coming in from either side, sine wave thing. I got that off of Pixabay. So videos and pictures both from that site, and it's really nice. The other thing that okay, do we need to take a break here, or do I show this one more thing?
Probably a good time for a break. How's everyone else feeling about that?
Because we got a lot to go through. To give you guys an idea, I have some stuff coming up here on script writing and graphic novels and advertising your stuff, and the lady has an entire thing on how to make your own cover. So yeah, let's go to a break here.
It looks like we're back.
There we go. Don't mind me, I'm just doing math. All right.
So what are you working on?
Really quick, I'm going to go ahead and do you want to go ahead with the GIMP book covers and stuff now, or?
I could.
Okay, I can do the screenwriting stuff or script writing stuff later. So please take the floor again.
All right. So another free tool that has been a huge advantage in my author career is Gimp. And I'm going to tell you right now, book covers are a bear. Do not try to do this and sell your book if you are not willing to put the time and the effort it takes to really learn what you're doing. It is far better to hire somebody who has done those lessons than it is to put a book out with the covers that are questionable at best. People will not look at your book with any seriousness if you don't. And if you're wanting your book read, you want them to look at your book with some seriousness. So we're going to screen share again. This time I'm showing you GIMP. Here I have created a background or a size, and this is 1600 by 2400, and that's pixels. And the reason why I've created the pixels at this exact ratio is because this is the most acceptable to Kindle, and the Kindle dimensions are easy to adapt to the other dimensions. So this is my easiest. I'm going to show you a very, very simple 1 picture, 2 font cover. And the reason why I'm going to show you the 1 picture, 2 font, because you can find a good picture, change up the colors without having to do a whole lot to make it your own, and not have to worry about getting something that you know works effectively. Now, I recommend that if you're going to try to do your own cover, that you also look up the right typography for your genre. So since we've got so many people in the chat, I want you guys to throw out a genre, and we will try to build a cover around that genre. And it will be a quick single cover or single image cover. So if you have a suggestion, drop it in the chat and let me know. If not, I will go with my default, just so you know. Historical fantasy. Yeah, that is true, Moon. GIMP will be difficult if you're not, and it will make things more difficult than it needs to be if you're not careful. See, if I do science fiction, that'll take me about whopping 15 minutes. Maybe. Let's go. You read it as hysterical fantasy. I love that.
I believe
You
that
have
was
a
done with the
custom-
Myth Adventures novels.
Okay, so you have a custom cover for a historical fantasy. Okay. I am. You know what? I was going to go through my own images, but let's not do that. We're going to go to everybody's favorite Pixabay. And let's look for something simple. Sorry, I've realized that these are being put out there for free, but it really does pain me to see images that are designed after a already established trend or already established series.
That's why I kind of add the little disclaimer to make sure when you go to a site like Pixabay, make sure that you actually pay attention to what it is that people have put up, because not everybody follows the rules.
Many people don't, and better to always assume that you have to double check your licenses than to assume that they're just fine because you found them here. Ooh, this
We'll
won't be a
share
good
real
one for
quick.
colors. By the way, the other thing about the template size that I put in there, or the size I put in there, is for an ebook. You need specific dimensions for a print book, so that's why I'm not demonstrating a print book, but the principles are still there. This one should be good. What I recommend when you are grabbing a cover for a book, is that even if you are not using the biggest size all the time, it is always better to have the biggest size to play with.
Yep.
So grab an image. Go ahead.
I'm going to share here one of my favorite places to play, the U.S. Government Archive site. You can, if a picture has been taken by somebody from the United States government in the course of their work for the government, it is usable by the people. So I shared the link that takes you to their pictures archive and the link for their usage rights and, historical fantasy. You can find a lot of good historical pictures through that site. So, okay, back to you.
No, that's a great source. And when you're dealing with science fiction, go to NASA.
Yes.
The rules apply there too, for exactly the same reason.
And the FDA.
Yep. These are completely licensed, open, acceptable options. Okay, so the picture I did grab, as you can see, it doesn't fit. And yes, you could hypothetically expand it. It's just not recommended if you do end up. The dimensions for the cover are 1600 by 2400. So it's 1600 wide and 2400 tall in Gimp. I'm going to grab a different image that will hopefully be a bit taller to play with. And I think that this one is. We'll find out in a second. Oh yeah, that's quite a bit taller. The way I am opening these images, by the way, I don't know if you guys have been able to tell with this, I am literally opening them in the folder. So I've downloaded the folder, downloaded it to the folder, and then I am just dragging it out onto the canvas. And it opens. And that's it. Somehow I got something that was shorter. It doesn't, the whole scape is bigger. All right. I am not happy with my brain tonight. In this case, we have two that are not going to work. So I'm going to do this. They can work, don't get me wrong. If I was not trying to make it this with one image, I could absolutely make this work. But we have a specific goal in mind for tonight, making sure that we can meet that goal. And the other good thing about GIMP is that if there's a specific type of thing you want to do with the pictures, you can do it with a lot of support from the community, the GIMP community, as there are plenty of videos that you can find that will help you to be able to develop whatever skills you want to develop with GIMP.
Yeah, it actually has an awesome community backing it up and add-ons that you can get for it most of the open source programs that we're going to be talking about, they have beautiful communities behind them that support them with tutorials and stuff.
All right, we got an image that's going to fit. So from here, you want to make sure that you've got what you're looking for to be centered. In this case, I'm going to leave the alien centered because that's what I want. Now I'm going to show you a real quick, simple trick to changing color. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm adding a transparency level layer over the top. And I come over here to my bucket fill, and this case, this is an orange color. So we're going to dump the orange color on the transparency. And we're going to set this as an overlay. And that's it. It's already, you can see how much has already changed the color and therefore change the feel of what we're doing. It's pretty straightforward and quick, and you can do that with any color. Let's say we want to take it down. We want to make it a softer, let's go with a red. And again, you just simple. And it is a way to turn, right, that is in pixels. 1600 wide by 2400 tall in pixels. I find adding this or just changing the how easy it is, and you can see all the difference. You've got the original, and we do this, and it's already got a very stark feeling to it. And each time you change the color, and it doesn't matter what you change the color to, you can change the feeling of the cover, which is why if you are not an experienced cover designer, a single cover or a single image cover that you pick a color that you like and just change that fits the emotion that you're aiming for. And your cover is intended to fit emotion more than it is to catch attention more than anything else. Okay, it doesn't need to tell the story of your book. That's what your story's for. I'm leaning toward the orange, to be honest with you.
I love the look of this, and a lot of colors that you're going through here. It reminds me so much of the novels that my dad had in his collection from the 50s and 60s and 70s. Nostalgia here for me, and it's just beautiful.
That's exactly actually why I grabbed the image when I looked at it. I actually looked at it twice, and it was my third pick, but I like that that feel to it, that pulp kind of fiction feel. Okay, the next very, very important aspect to this is your font. And it may actually be more important than your image because it has to fit in the image. So we're going to call this Alien's Gaze because that's what my brain is thinking. We're going to give it 200. And in this case, we're definitely not going with the same color because as you can see, that's not legible. You want to make sure that what you're putting out can be read. Okay. Now, the reason why I lifted that, this is a very sci-fi font. Sci-fi fonts, if you go to any of the distributors and look at the covers, you'll be able to compare them and see the fonts are large, they're bold, they have an impact. Try to see if I can find another one of my favorites real fast.
Yeah, you look for that. Just say here, you have just a few moments. You used to have the time that took someone to browse down a book aisle, but now with Amazon and stuff like that, people are flipping so quickly. You need to catch their attention with the cover artwork and the title, especially. give them a title that makes them stop and take notice.
Mhm. Your cover is your call to come look at this. This is your person standing on the corner screaming newspapers. Once upon a time. This is the thing that you need to have in mind. And obviously black isn't the right color for this. We're gonna try, I don't like white on this cover. It would be too stark. I'm also feeling like this might not be this is definitely not a clean enough font for this. With what's going on, if what is going on in the background is really busy, you don't want your font to be busy. If what's going on in the background is very simple, then your font can be a little bit more striking by itself. You want it to make an impact, but you want the impact to look like it's part of the picture when you're done. You want to catch attention without screaming, I'm something that's so different, you shouldn't read me. Space Marine, yeah, that'll work better. Space Marine always works better. That might not be the right size though. Okay, so all we've used so far is one. Yeah, we're still gonna put this down here. We've used one picture, one layer with the font or with the color, and made that one picture your own. So just by changing the transparency and setting it to overlay, you can completely change the way that image is feeling and working for you. You put a title that can be read. This isn't fancy. I'm not going to show you any of the fancier stuff that can be done with this. But if you want this to have a similar color, you can just move it underneath the overlay by shifting the layers. If it works with me, why is it not listening to me? No, I am not. Typically speaking, you just click and pull and it just goes under there. It's not listening to me today.
Yeah, you should just be able to like click on the name there or on the image and pull it to where you want it to go. Down at the bottom, I believe the up and down arrows at the bottom also work that way. There
we go. Thank you. And yeah, it's exactly it. So if it's not clicking and pulling the way it's supposed to, the arrows at the bottom, like Sandra said, and then you can see already that's already changed the depth of the picture a little bit, or the font. And in this case, I think I like it better underneath, and so that works. You can read it. Now I'm going to tell you something very, very important. A lot of people right now would then take this cover and be like, okay, good enough. Let me put my tiny little name up here. And I'm sorry, but you have made a book. You are publishing a book. You have done something that no other person knows for sure you have done if you don't tell them. One solid way of saying I did this thing is to put your name on this book at a font size the same or larger than your title.
Be proud.
So you will find, if you ever have my help with your book cover, I'm going to tell you, make your book type, put your name big, because your name should be big, because you are awesome. You've accomplished something. And you should be proud of it. Very proud of it. And all we did, in this case, we use the same font. You never want to use more than 2 fonts on your cover. We used one transparency. Look at the difference if we just change the color like this. We just take that off. It's already a completely different feeling. And this makes it a bit more heightened, a bit more intense. We can play with the opacity a little bit and turn it down, so it's a little bit softer instead of intense. But just by going with just using those very basic steps, you can create a reasonable cover in very little time that looks clean enough to actually be used in a professional capacity. Now, would I make this the best cover, call this the best cover ever? No. There's a lot of other little tweaks I would personally do to it because I've been doing it for 10 years, 12 years. But if you have the time and you're open to playing with the fonts and the different options, you can change things up. We could leave it like this in theory. But then again, if I were going to leave it like this would be much, much bigger. And so would the name. Because it can be done effectively. There's a lot of, like, I'm sitting here looking at this going, now I really want to play with it, but we don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
In my case, I would probably, I like the author name being huge. It should be huge. But it's very, very basic and it's very, very simple. And you own the picture, make it your own. It's incredible. And there are so many layers that you can take with, oops, sorry. If you just sit here, you're not sure what to do, you can sit here and go through the drop downs and see how this looks and how that looks. And that's without doing a whole lot. That's creating a reasonably cohesive graphic that can convey a professional feel, or far more professional feel than most of us without known skills and non-developed skills are going to be able to do. You want to pick a font that conveys, your font's going to scream. If I put a fantasy font over this and you see the alien, the next thing you're going to think is it's a space fantasy, not that it's a sci-fi. Your font is crucial. Pick the right font, look them up. They're all over the keys are all over the place.
Go browse through the archives of the old, like I said, the picture reminded me of the stuff my dad read. Look through those old books in your genre, and because the ones that were published in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, they're the ones that stick in people's minds as this font means this.
And you will find references that you will be able to look up very easily without much difficulty, that will give you a list of what fonts you can look for to go with each of the different items. Guerrilla, I think it's Guerrilla Marketing, Guerrilla Publishing, actually posts on their website a list of this font fits this genre, this font fits this genre. And in that case, he is a professional editor who has also done graphic design for the big five. So he knows what he's talking about. I've listened to people try to say, well, but his books don't sell great. He hasn't been as established as an author as he was selling other authors. So I tend to lean upon his knowledge. His name is Derek Murphy. And if you want to look him up on YouTube, do it. His insights are immeasurably invaluable, especially for new and mid-level authors. Once you have an ebook cover for Kindle, it's actually pretty easy to just import it to the others, and most of them don't even require you to make any changes. I say most because I think Google does have a change in size requirement. I don't believe it's by that much, but if you already have your Kindle done, you're not having to do a whole lot of shuffling, is what I'm saying. So you want to get it at the Kindle, start at the Kindle dimensions and then adjust.
Mm.
You don't want to stretch much. So if you're looking at something and somebody tells you, oh, I need it to be the size of a print, you're going to say, thank you very much, and go find yourself somebody who's a professional. um, or who's been doing this for a while. Or you're going to have to start over with a print template in Gimp and then do the same thing. Find a single image that will cover what you're looking for. You can cover the back in a black box and put your font or put your information in there, and it still works. You just have to look professional and clean when you're looking at it, because like Sandra said, we don't have much time anymore. If they scroll through that page and they missed your cover, you've had your first chance. Now, they do say they have to see your book 7 times. They have to be exposed to your stuff 7 times before they're going to pick it up. But
It's not always true, though, because the other day I was just flipping through and somebody had just the right cover that it caught my attention, and immediately I dropped my Kindle money onto, or my, not Kindle, whatever the one that reads it for you is. But I immediately dropped my $14 onto the dude's book because the cover caught my eye.
And typically it's the cover that catches the attention. And after you've caught their attention, it's your description that closes the sale. So if you have a good cover, and I don't mean a mediocre cover, I mean a really good cover, you're going to draw them in. And if you have a strong description, they're going to have to buy your book by the time they've gotten to the end. I always suggest ending with a call to action of some kind, like find out when you pick it up today, or I can't wait to hear your thoughts after you've read it, or something that tells them I'm looking forward to you reading my book. But you got to get there. You got to have a strong lead to that point. You don't want to just throw that up there and think people are going to buy it. You need to have a good description. That is critical. And you need to have a good book, a good cover, and it can be done. A reasonable cover. I would put that cover out, honestly, on a short story that I was probably going to sell for $2.99 or $3.99, and just leave it out there. And when it makes a few dollars, once it has paid for itself, I would have no problem paying for a better cover. And you can absolutely do that. There are a lot of authors that have. And recovering your book becomes an excuse to do something really fun that Sandra is going to elaborate on later. Market your book again. Oh, look at this really shiny new thing I did. Meanwhile, your book has been selling for 6 months, but look at this really shiny new thing I did because it's been selling for 6 months.
And I remember when all of the self-published and vanity presses and everything like that started up, and they were putting out books that it was just 2 colors and very basic font, that there was nothing at all to these books. You can go so much further than that. You don't have to just have the title of your book on a blank page.
That's true.
Money is no longer a barrier.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I want to clarify something real quick in what you said.
Yes.
A vanity press is typically a press that expects you to pay them to publish your book.
Yes.
If at any time you engage with a vanity press, and typically you will because they followed you, the right answer to that is block and delete. There is absolutely no excuse for any reason for you to pay them to publish your book. Now, if they're doing all the interior formatting, setting up your Kindle account for you, doing all your uploads, that's a totally different issue. And you're probably not hiring a vanity press, you're probably hiring a virtual assistant or a small company that provides author services. But if a vanity press contacts you and says, I love your book, I'm such and such a publisher, because that's usually how they present themselves. We would love to publish your book. It's just going to cost you $299 up front and another $1,000 over the next 2 weeks or whatever time frame they give you. But it's usually something astronomically absurd. And to be perfectly honest, in this day and age, $1 for them to sign you and quote, publish your book for you is astronomical and unheard of, uncalled for.
Yeah, the rule of thumb that I've always gone by is you're a writer, you're working really hard, you are producing something that people want, and in some cases, I'm an example, need sometimes in their life. There have been a couple of times in my life where I got through things because of a book. You get paid to write. You don't pay people to publish your stuff. So if somebody wants you to pay them for them to publish your thing, they better be a really good editor that you're paying for their editorial services, in my opinion.
And yeah, and like I said, they better be providing you services if they're going to do that. It can't just be you pay them to quote sign you. That's not how that works. And you don't want to pay them to just be able to say you have a publisher, because there are so many small presses that will be happy to publish you without trying to bring you through and whatever they can get out of you. Instead, they would be interested in providing you with what you need to make it a successful book. So if you really don't think you're going to make it, or have not gotten or queried the big five and they're not signing you, there are dozens of small presses, because the market today empowers small presses who can pivot on a dime just like an indie and empower their authors as a team.
Now, while we're still on the topic of things like Gimp, I'm going to show you guys another program here that is free, that is awesome, that I recommend taking a look at, and that is called Krita.
I love this program.
Krita is so beautiful. And I just called up their highlights page here, that it's free. It is made for creating graphic novels and stuff like that. And I have it, I use it, I'm learning how to use it, but it comes with all these features, like you can get the text bubbles and things like that to be able to add text into your graphic novel as you're working on it. And I have an art tablet thing, one of them draw on the desk things that a friend gave me a couple of years back, and playing with that in Krita is just so beautiful. Every once in a while I'll stream messing around with it. So if you're doing any kind of cartoons, you have a more graphic novel style that you want for your cover, then I suggest checking out this one, and drop the link to its site in the chat over there real quick. And where did I lose my notes on Krita? Okay, the Krita website says their vision for the development of Krita. Krita is a free and open source cross-platform application that offers an end-to-end solution for creating digital art files from scratch. Krita is optimized for frequent, prolonged, and focused use, explicitly supported fields of painting, art illustrations, concept art, matte painting, textures, comics, and animations. Developed with users, Krita is an application that supports their actual needs and workflow. Krita supports open standards and interoperates with other applications. Definitely check it out if you're doing any kind of artwork type stuff. Yeah.
And if you or someone you know is skilled enough to do it, Krita is a great functional program. We actually found it because the artist in my house got interested in animation, and Krita can do that too.
And another one that a lot of people don't usually think about is, let me jump over here. Oh, wait, it automatically jumped to it. Good, I don't have to switch the screen share. Blender. I know there's a couple of Blender users here, and this is what Blender can do as far as 2D artwork and animation goes. It can do a lot. I got into using Blender back when it first came into open source. Con Rosendahl, I believe is his name. He developed it for his game company years ago, back in like 96 or something like that. And then when that company didn't, he kind of didn't, folded, whatever, he couldn't stand the thought of having Blender not be used. Well, it actually belonged to some other people at that point because of contracts and things. So he went and did a Kickstarter, and I think it was in 24 hours they had what they needed to buy Blender back. And then he threw it out into the world as an open source program, and it has done nothing but take off. Blender has been used by people working on the Wonder Woman movie. It has been used by major production companies. To one of my favorites is they showed where they were doing this car pulls up and you can see like cameras and stuff in the windows of the cars, and they removed all of that using Blender and put in a different reflection on the side of this vehicle. And yeah, so if you're looking to get into animation and rigging, show you my little thing here that I brought together for Blender, and I've got it here somewhere, unless I closed it. Okay, that's DaVinci. That is not what I'm looking for. DaVinci's a good program, though. That is what I'm talking about later. But I lost. I have lost it. Where'd it go?
I hear a kitty.
What you need, Rios? Okay, apparently I closed it. I didn't mean to close it. So let's just open this back up, and then I can share it. You pause for a moment. Ah, it is showing. Okay, this is actually Metahuman at this point. So let me jump it up here. Okay, there's Blender. Wait. All right. Starting with Blender here. This is some examples from the open source movies that Blender has made. This is Coffee Run, a couple of the demos from it. So 100% done in Blender, and this is the promotional video that they did for this short film. If you look into Blender open source movies, there's quite a few of them out there. But I just figured take a couple of samples here to show you the range of what you can do with the program, because all of these things were made completely by this program. And if you're looking to create advertising for your book, I have this plan to, for my novel, I'm going to have my guard, which is one of the lead point of views, is going to walk down the street, open up his pocket watch underneath an old lamp, and then the information for my book is going to show up on the side of the screen. Between Blender and Unreal Engine and Metahuman, I can do that all by myself. And you know, the stuff that is possible, it blows your mind. If you have not seen the open source movies and stuff like that, definitely check them out. They go all the way back to at least 2016 or so, and they're great. And since I got this queued up anyway, I'm going to show you what else I got here. This is Metahuman. Unreal Engine is a game creation program. It was built by Epic Games for making video games. Mass Effect, you know, there's a lot of games made with it. Yes, and movies. This is their most recent release for us. This is Metahuman. And as long as you are working with Unreal Engine, you can take the characters, build your own character in Metahuman, and then take them into Blender, create the clothing that you need in something like Blender, take them into Unreal Engine, animate them, create whatever you want with lifelike people that you completely build yourself. And the ones that you see on the side here are ones that I have made for my purposes. The woman that is about to show the range of motion here, she is the mother of one of the characters in my novel. And they do complete. If a human being can do it, they can do it with the metahuman stuff. So you can do any pose you want with the character after building it. Make a couple of characters, pose them how you want to on the front of your novel, and have for free people. So you don't have to worry about paying for oh man, it's starting to get late for me now. You don't have to worry about artist release forms or anything like that, because you invented this person and they are exactly what you pictured your character to look like. And that is just amazing to me, because this is my cat. This is exactly what I wanted the mother of that character to look like. And she did not exist until I built her. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. And I recorded all this last night while I had like 10 million things open on my computer. So
It's impressive that it recorded so well.
Yeah, it actually shows up better when you're in Metahuman doing stuff. And let's see. Yeah, she's almost the end of her face range there. Then I have the dude here. This is one of my lead characters, and he turned out exactly how I pictured Zane to look in my head. Just so much possibility out there, and all for free. And the only thing they ask is, let me grab my thing. We work around my co-host. And
it's a lovely co-host.
Oh, come on. I know I put it there somewhere. Okay, on the Blender site, Blender's mission on their website, Blender says, get the world's best 3D CG technology in the hands of artists as free open source software. Their vision is everyone should be free to create 3D CG content with free technical and creative. You, quiet. With free technical and creative production means and free access to markets. Their license, Blender, is free software. You are free to use Blender for any purpose, including commercially or for education. This freedom is being defined by Blender's GNU General Public License. And then the Unreal Engine guys, we've already watched this. Let's go back to her real quick, because I'm talking about Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine's standard license for creators and publishers who don't require premium support or custom terms, suitable for students and educators and anybody that wants to use it. It's free to download Unreal Engine, and in many cases, it's free to use. That includes all of the engine features, the entire Quixel Megascans library, which is big. It's really big. And community-based support. Let me jump off of this screen really quick. Where did you reduce? And figure out how to close it. I don't know how to close that. There we go. Where is it? I get excited about these programs.
Yeah,
That's the one I want to share over there. Okay, Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is best for hobbyists, learning, small teams and projects. And is that showing? That's not showing the right screen. That is showing my cheat sheet screen. Get over here onto the right screen, you. Okay, now you guys know that I've you guys know my secrets. This is what you're supposed to be looking at, not behind the scenes. This is Unreal Engine 5. This city that you see in the background here is actually been released for use. Look into the stuff for what is the name of that movie?
Yes.
Keanu Reeves is in it. The Matrix Awakens, there we go. The Matrix Awakens an Unreal Engine 5 experience. The entire city has been released for use. So if you're writing a modern novel, there is an entire city. You can just pick and choose, build whatever you want for a background, and run with it. Under the standard end-user license agreement for Unreal Engine is free to use for learning and for developing internal projects. It also enables you to distribute many commercial projects without paying any fees to Epic Games, including custom projects delivered to clients, linear content such as films and television shows, and any product that earns no revenue or whose revenue falls below the royalty threshold. Their royalty threshold? A 5% royalty is due only if you are distributing an off-the-shelf product that incorporates Unreal Engine code, such as a game, and the lifetime gross revenue from that product exceeds $1 million US. In this case, the first 1 million remains royalty exempt. There's no reason not to learn to use Unreal Engine at that point.
Right.
And like I said, with Metahuman and the stuff that they give you for free to use, you can take any genre of book, any type of book, and create whatever you want for a cover. there is a program that goes with it that I have that allows you to turn it into artwork. Yes.
I was gonna say, you could even use something like this to create a small, a short game that is actually a choose your own adventure of your story.
Yes. And if you do get into Unreal Engine and you download the Epic Games thing, I will tell you, make sure you check every single month, because every month the Unreal Engine people give you some free resources. See if I can avoid crashing my system real quick and jump back to their main website to show you. This also has been released for free. This was to show off how the whole thing pulled together. So if you're doing a treasure hunter type of thing, you got this entire thing. You can create whatever backdrop you want with this sequence. And what was I looking for here? Okay, I don't see where it's at, but yeah, that's one of the biggest ones to me. If you want to make an advertisement for your if you want to make advertisements for your novel that you can put on YouTube and stuff like that, or TikTok, you can make full animated TV commercials for your novels, and it's all for free. The only thing they ask is, hey, please keep it within our program, and if you make over $1 million, maybe remember who helped you along the way.
Thank you so much for letting me be a part of the panel tonight. I really appreciate it.
I was thinking you look like you need to go.
I do, my friends. I have had such a great time. I'm so grateful for being able to share with you a couple of things that are free tools that have been an asset to me, and I hope that they will be an asset to you guys. If you have questions, please come to my stream, The Lady Writes, at any time, and I am happy to answer them. And I am actually going to say goodnight to everybody. I have been up since 2:00 a.m. So I'm going to go catch up on some Z's before it's my turn to stream again in the morning. But thank you for the invitation. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this, Sandra. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I am so glad that you wanted to help out, and you've made me switch from OpenOffice over to Libreoffice. So that alone is, yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. If you have any questions, seriously, don't hesitate. I'm happy to answer them. I have been using it for so many years, and I absolutely adore it. Really do.
And I'll tell you, I didn't know half of what you just showed me about Gimp. I've been using that for years. I didn't know that I could do that with it.
There's a lot, but I only learned what I had to learn for me to be able to make a cover. So, if you don't need a certain tool, you're not going to learn it. That's why I wanted to show everybody something that was very simple, easy way to claim it as your own, because you don't want the book to be the same as any other person who might download that picture. But if you don't have it to make it completely, oh, I know what's going on, sorry. If you don't have it to get a regular proper graphic designer, that's at least one method you can use to help with that. But I'm glad I can show it to you. I'm sure you could teach me so many things on Gimp that I haven't even looked at, because I know it can do so much more than I can do. But thank you, everybody. You are amazing, and I am so grateful for your
Yes.
company. And I'm so grateful you invited me to do this. And Liz, thank you for all the support. You're awesome.
Yes.
I love you guys. I will see you in the next stream, which for me is
Say goodnight, Demon.
in a few hours. Good night, cute little furry butt. All right. I love you guys.
Now are you going to turn around? Trying to determine. Okay, technically there's still like a half an hour to, if people want to hang out. I'm pretty sure I'm looking at that right. Sure, I got one photo bomber already. Correct me if I am wrong on the time frame here, but I believe there's 30 minutes left. Yeah. Let me find what didn't get covered because there was a few things. All right, we got Libreoffice, and we got the newsletters. And we got the Gimp book covers. There's the script writing. Talked about Krita and Blender and Unreal Engine. So it looks like, and I played the clip for the Metahuman and Blender short thing a little while ago. That was made this afternoon. I made that this afternoon with, I'm trying to find my Zoom thing here again. I lost it. There it is. Using DaVinci Resolve. I just threw the clips into DaVinci Resolve and put it together, and I'm looking at the screen, not the camera. But DaVinci Resolve, if you haven't looked into it, is pretty quick and easy to learn. I learned it in a couple of hours. Let's see. Is there a link for Libreoffice? Yes, there you go. Thank you. And there's actually, let's see. That long mess is the link to the Google document that I set up for this thing that has links to, I'm pretty sure, everything that we have been talking about, with LibreOffice right at the very top of it. And I know I'm going to say your name wrong here. Itanchi was very helpful and gave me a whole bunch of other stuff that they had collected, and I will be adding that to that document hopefully by Monday evening. But there's just so much free stuff. Once you get to looking, there is so much that is available out there. And another one, I would like to say, ask any questions you have. We will do our best to answer them. Call up this script writing thing here real quick, because I believe it's the last thing. Yeah, there was DaVinci Resolve, which is on the document. And for any script writers out there, I am not going to leave you hanging. There is something that I discovered that is pretty cool for that. Let me jump back over here. There it is. And show you. If you've never heard of Fountain before, Fountain is a type of writing for screenplays. that is the dot fountain syntax. And I found out about Fountain when I started using Storyboarder. There it is, right there. Come here, Storyboarder. I started using a program called Storyboarder. And this allows you to take a fountain style using just plain old Notepad text file. And they have Big Fish that you can download on their site for testing it out. So load Big Fish up here real quick. And it gives you this art tablet setup that you can then use to create your best impersonation of Steven Spielberg's wonderful art using various art tools here to show mountain ranges and stick figures. And trust me, when I was studying writing screenplays and stuff and how to make things, that's kind of how Steven Spielberg outlined the Raiders of the Lost Ark on his boards. So I'm not exaggerating. Or was it George Lucas? Either George Lucas or Steven Spielberg did like stick figures like this. But it divides it out into each of these colors on the side. Is it actually showing? It is not showing. It is showing the old thing over there. So let me switch it to this one. Are you going to show it now? Are you going to show it now? It's not going to show it now. There it is. Okay. But over on the side, the colors on the side over here is each of your scenes. And then each scene has, you know, a few years back, and Will sits with the other Indian guides as Edward continues telling the story to the tribe. And you can just draw whatever you want on the board, add another one for the next part of the scene, and then start playing tic-tac-toe with yourself. And it allows you to go back to the beginning and play the sequence through to see how your movie's going to unfold in the before you take it into something for animating it, you can see your entire movie here. And I did that with one of my things. Fine. Screen sharing stopped because I closed it. The Dragon Sacrifice. I'll pull that one up. There's not much to it, but it gives an idea of what I was doing with the thing. Share the Dragon Sacrifice. It has built-in figures that you can pose into positions. And I did that with the character here, where the first scene in my book is to be a thief stealing a tiara, and then somebody comes into the room and the thief has to take off. Well, I was able to just create the entire room using assets from this, following my script format. And this is called Storyboarder. Back through all the open windows here to where this is. And it is one of the ones that has a not easy to find URL if you don't know what you're looking for. And the program that you use to write your scripts is Notepad. Your standard pull up the Notepad on your computer thing and then just follow the fountain format for your screenplay, and it will translate it into the different scenes and show, you know, my third sequence here, close on thief, as he lifts a finger to indicate to her to remain quiet, his free hand locking the door. And then I would just use their assets and stuff, which I haven't used this in so long, I can't do it live on screen, but I would use their assets to show the thief at the door, showing her to be quiet, and him locking the door. And I'm using this on another one. I have just a basic showing my guardsman walking down the street to a street lamp, checking his pocket watch, so that I know exactly what I'm after when I go in to create the commercial for my novel's promotional videos. So this is one of the programs that I found to be really useful for me in having an idea for what I want to do before I dive into the complexity of I'm making a film. So if your passion is screenwriting, then yeah, check out Storyboarder. As with everything else that was shown tonight, it is free. They put it out there, and they actually have this really adorable kitty cat. Oh, I didn't have the Storyboarder website called up over here. But they needed it, so they made it and released it for people to be able to use. And that is what, in my opinion, makes some of the best tools. Another one that I did not cover that I know of where somebody needed it, so they built it and then released it, is one of the first writing programs that I ever got to using, is a little program called Writer. I'm guessing people that are familiar with them things has probably heard that one before. It's by Space Jock, W-I-T, Writer. But Simon Hayes, there's his name. Simon Haynes needed something to write his novels, so he made the program Writer, and I used that until I got my hands on Scrivener. I was one of the betas for Scrivener back when it made the jump to Windows, and until that point, Writer was all I used. Let's see. Tanchi says, if there's any resources you need but not listed, we can chat on the Discord. I know a bunch of random ones. Yes. And like I said, if you need to know any other resources out there, definitely take Tanchi up on that offer, because when I said I wanted to do a thing on free resources for writers, we connected on Discord, and I was just completely blown away. I knew there was stuff out there that was free to use, and they showed me so much more than I knew existed. I'm trying not to lose my Zoom channel here, and I have lost it. There's my Zoom meeting channel. Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else that I needed to tell you guys about, but I think it's pretty much been covered. I cut a bunch of it down, and I had to cut a bunch of it out just because, you know, I didn't want to totally overload people, but I wanted to show you that whatever stage you're in, there's free resources out there for you to be able to do everything from basic outlining of your novel, creating the cover artwork, creating commercials for it. If you're a screenwriter, a graphic novelist, if you just get to looking in the right places, there's stuff out there that covers the entire spectrum from what I've found so far. Let's see. I can move this over here. Then I'm actually kind of looking at the screen. Let's see. Atanshi says if there's... Okay, yep, I read that. Collecting stuff. Let's see. You've been learning Unreal? It is amazing. And yes, Google Docs. There we go. There's the other one that I was trying to think to remember. Google Docs is another one. If you haven't, Cheyenne, quit pacing. If you can't download one of the programs, at least check out Google Docs, because you can use it on your phone, you can use it on your tablet, you can use it on your computer, your laptop. Anywhere you can connect to the internet, you can get a copy of your novel right there. It is automatically saved. And they give you a bunch of space to save it too. And nobody can read your Google Doc if you don't give them the link to it. So that's another great one. If you just need someplace that you can write, check it out. You can go out in a minute. I have a dog now asking to be let out in the yard. Let's see. Francis says the Space Jock website also has Sonar, which is an amazing software for tracking your submissions to different markets. Okay, yeah, I haven't checked out what Space Jock has going on there in many years. But yeah, back when I was doing a lot of hanging out on that website, they had some really good resources. And like I said, they're a writer too. They go for what works. Do you guys mind? It's official. It's a Zoom call. We got cats and dogs photobombing it. One second. What is that? Sublime Text 4. Don't think I have actually heard of that one. Sublime Text. Cross-platform source code editor. Ah. Yeah, Sublime Text looks like it's mainly aimed towards coding. HTML, JavaScript, CSS, yeah. Okay, did anybody have any questions? I'm looking here. I think it's about time for us to go back to the Writers CONduit site. So if anybody had any more questions or needed more info on any of the links or anything like that. So we're trying to adjust things so that this is on a monitor that only shows the top half of the monitor. Okay. See, Bitzer says, I used to use IA Writer, but that's for plain text or markdown only. Yeah, and it's like Notepad. Notepad isn't useful for things very often, but it is perfect for being able to do the dot fountain screenplay stuff. If you want to chat Unreal and related topics, my DM is open, says Itanshi. Yeah, Unreal Engine is my top choices. If I had to pick just a couple of things that I would just love to just sit and talk for hours on end about, would be Unreal Engine, Blender, and yeah, Unreal Engine and Blender. Because most of the stuff that I use other than those two programs are things that support those two programs. Sketchfab. Yeah, I think Sketchfab. Oh, and somebody else had mentioned, well, I just lost everything. Somebody else had mentioned Daz Studio at some point. And yes, Daz Studio is also a free 3D program that I'm not sure how free it actually is anymore, because I haven't used Daz Studio in 20 years, it feels like. It's been a long time. But I do know people that do use it, and they make some beautiful, beautiful stuff with it. You cannot take the people from Metahuman and move them into Daz Studio, because Metahuman is intended for Unreal Engine. But once you start playing around in things like Unreal Engine, you find out about a whole bunch of other stuff, like I should know the name of it off the top of my head, but I can't remember it. There is a program or a site that is connected to Adobe that has a whole bunch of animations that you can download and put into Unreal Engine so that you can animate your characters. Mixamo, there we go. Yep, Mixamo. So you can get the poses that you need without having to know how to pose your characters. And I'm the kind of crazy person that will go diving all the way in to figure out all the little details for how to pose the figures. But you don't have to get that in depth about it. You can just kind of dabble a little bit here and there and learn enough about the programs to create what you want. And that is the beautiful thing about Blender. If all you want to do with Blender is make a graphic novel, you don't have to have all of this other stuff added onto it. You don't have to have the video editing capabilities. It used to have a game engine built into it. They actually removed that because most people that use Blender were taking their Blender projects into something like Unreal Engine, or what's the other one? There's another one that is like Unreal Engine, but people weren't using, Unity. There we go. Thank you. I can count on you. You know exactly the language I'm talking. People were taking them into Unreal Engine and Unity and animating and building their games in those. So the Blender crew said, you know what, we don't need this. So they removed the game engine from Blender a few years back. It still has the video editing stuff, but it doesn't have to. You can strip that out and just have something to build what you need. I know a fellow on YouTube a couple of years back. I was watching him and he was doing, and I need to check over here because I'm guessing I'm being, nope, I'm not yet over time. Get this finished off here. Itachi says, posing characters is a great feature. Blender and Unreal can do this. Yes. And you don't have to make FBX files. Yeah, and there's a bridge, Blender to Unreal bridge, that you can build things in Blender, tap a button, and it sends it straight over into Unreal Engine. So that makes it really convenient. And what was I saying? It probably wasn't that important because I'm trying to keep an eye on making sure I don't go over time here. Oh, the gentleman on YouTube, he built, and there's a YouTube series out there that I don't know exactly where it's at. He built an entire alleyway in a tutorial system on YouTube because he was making a graphic novel and he needed to get pictures. And I'm pretty sure his plan had been to make it an animated graphic novel, because it's been a couple of years since I was haunting his website or his YouTube channel, but he was going step by step through how to build this scene for the purpose of making a graphic novel. So there's lots of stuff out there to help you with how to build scenes if you want to go that route. And those same things can help you with how to build cover artwork and promotional scenes for your novels and things. And yeah, there is a lot of stuff sold for Blender and Unreal Engine, as Itanchi says there, but there's also a lot for free. And one of the big things with those programs is you can make them what you need, and they have amazing communities supporting being able to make what you need, including the Blender Foundation and Epic Games. I mean, Epic Games made Unreal Engine for their video games. So, and at this point, I'm going to go ahead and assume that my time has come to an end. Find my screen over here. It's here somewhere. I am almost ready to raid. Yes. Just need to find. All right. I would like to give a huge thank you to Liz for being the technical support and wrangling everything and sending me messages behind the scenes telling me you got 30 minutes left. Are you ready to raid? And all the other wonderful sharing questions that we missed in chat and everything else. You have been so awesome. Thank you so much for stepping up and taking care of all that stuff for me. And the lady writes, she came off of, I think, a couple of panels or a full day worth of panels to come in here and talk to everyone and help me out with the presentations of these awesome programs. So thank you so much, Liz and the lady writes, and Itanshi, who a lot of what you're going to see showing up in the Google Doc from here on out is thanks to them. And a huge thank you to my viewers, to you guys, whether you're watching now while it's live at Conduit, or you're watching this on a rerun and listening to my dog say she wants outside. Thank you for hanging out and just making this a wonderful day. Thank you. We're going to be raiding back into the Writers CONduit host channel now. And from there, you can find other panels to check out. Get up, stretch, take another quick break, and there's a whole weekend full of awesome stuff. So check things out, find out what you want to watch next, and I will see you guys later. Thank you so much. Bye.